Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely dissect a legendary, albeit now obsolete, high-power component, the 2SD1047 transistor. Seriously, if you've ever cracked open a classic, high-powered audio amplifier or a really hefty power supply, there's a very good chance you've crossed paths with this silicon powerhouse. We're going to break down exactly what made it so incredibly popular, how it actually ticks, and most importantly, how to deal with it now that it's no longer in production.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. We'll meet the transistor, see how it works, tackle its high-power thermal limits, explore its famous audio connection, and finally, find a modern replacement.
Part 1. Meet the transistor, a high-power heavyweight. Let's get right into what makes this STMicroelectronics component so legendary.
So, at its core, the 2SD1047 is an NPN bipolar junction transistor, or BJT for short. It's built from silicon, using epitaxial planar technology. But what really set it apart from the pack was STMicroelectronics' use of bi-T-law technology. Now, without getting completely lost in the semiconductor weeds here, the main thing you need to know is that this specific design was engineered to provide exceptional gain linearity. And, as we're going to see in a bit, that characteristic is absolutely brilliant for power amplification. Just listen to these specs because they brilliantly illustrate its raw power. We're talking about a maximum collector-to-emitter voltage, the VCEO, of 140 volts. It can handle a continuous collector current of 12 amps, and get this, it can even survive short pulse peaks up to 20 amps. Plus, it boasts a massive power dissipation rating of 100 watts. These are absolute heavyweight numbers. But, you can't just max all these out at the exact same time. There's a catch, which we'll cover soon.
Moving on to Part 2, how the transistor works, the valve analogy.
To really grasp what this thing can do and why those maximum ratings are a bit tricky, we need to look at how it operates. Because it's an NPN transistor, it has 3 terminals. Think of it like a massive plumbing system. The base is your tiny control valve, and it regulates this massive rushing flow of current coming from the collector and pouring out through the emitter. A tiny tweak at the base totally dictates that heavy current flow.
Depending on how far you open that base valve, the transistor operates in one of 3 distinct modes. Crank that valve completely shut, you're in cutoff mode. Basically, it's switched completely off with almost zero current. If you rip it wide open, it hits saturation mode, switched hard on, dropping the voltage across the collector and emitter to sometimes less than a single volt. But the real magic happens right in the middle, in active mode. This is where the collector current is proportionally controlled by the base, giving you the precise linear amplification this transistor is famous for.
So the whole concept boils down perfectly to this simple equation. The collector current equals the transistor's DC gain, which is represented by beta or HFE, multiplied by the base current. The 2SD1047 has a typical gain ranging anywhere from 60 to 200 depending on the conditions. Let's say your gain is 100 and you feed a measly 50 milliamps into the base. Boom! You unleash a massive 5 amps of current at the collector. Literally, a tiny signal creates a humongous response.
Part 3. Handling high power safely, high-stakes thermal limits. This is absolutely crucial.
Remember this number? 100. We talked about how the transistor boasts a 100-watt power dissipation rating. On paper, that sounds incredibly robust, right? You might be thinking you can just push this thing to its absolute limits without breaking a sweat. Well, actually, scratch that. There is a major caveat to this 100-watt figure.
Here is the high-stakes warning. 12 amps multiplied by 140 volts is not 100 watts. Do the math. It's actually 1,680 watts. You absolutely, under no circumstances, can run this transistor at its maximum limits simultaneously. The actual allowable combination of voltage and current is strictly limited by the Safe Operating Area, or SOA. If you step outside that safe zone, you will instantly destroy the component.
And oh man, there's a physical design quirk here that catches so many beginners off guard. In its standard TO3P package, the collector is electrically connected straight to the metal mounting tab on the back. Meaning, if you just bolt this transistor directly to a grounded metal chassis to cool it down, you are instantly grounding the collector and causing a catastrophic short circuit.
So to keep the magic smoke safely inside the transistor where it belongs, you have to follow the safety rules. You absolutely must use an insulated heatsink mounting kit. Think mica insulators and plastic washers to manage the heat while keeping it electrically isolated. You got to keep that internal junction temperature below 150 degrees Celsius. Also, fun fact from the datasheet, the maximum reverse voltage for the base emitter is an incredibly low 6 volts. Exceed that and your transistor's toast. Always, use proper base resistors and collector loads.
Part 4. The audio amplifier connection, driving heavy loads. Let's see how we actually use this power.
This is where the 2SD1047 truly literally shines, the classic Class AB push-pull audio amplifier. You know that audio waves have positive and negative peaks, right? Well, in this setup, our NPN 2SD1047 handles all the heavy lifting for the positive half of the audio cycle. But it doesn't do it alone. It pairs perfectly with its complementary PNP partner, the 2SB817, which completely takes over to push the negative half of the cycle. Together, they essentially hand the audio signal back and forth seamlessly.
So why was this specific pair universally loved by audio engineers everywhere? First off, that high 140-volt rating provides massive headroom, meaning the amp can swing those high voltages without clipping the audio. Second, the 12-amp rating gives it the raw current needed to physically move large, heavy, demanding speaker cones. And finally, that bite TILA design we mentioned earlier, it ensures the gain linearity stays rock solid. This translates directly into crystal clear sound, taking a tiny audio signal and making it window-shakingly loud without distorting the original waveform.
Part 5. Finding a suitable replacement. Life after obsolescence.
It's a beautiful piece of engineering for sure, but it is officially out of production. So what do you do when one burns out in an old amp? You might be tempted to just grab any common power transistor off the shelf. But look, swapping it with the legendary 2N3055 is a guaranteed fail. It only handles about 60 volts and comes in a clunky TO3 metal can package. What about a modern TIP35C? It still falls short at around 100 volts, and the TO27 package isn't a perfect physical match. You just cannot select an equivalent by name alone. Instead, you really need to hunt for specific high-voltage power BJT alternatives. The 2SC2987 is widely considered a fantastic 5-star replacement. Devices like the 2SC3855, the 2SD1705, and the 2SC3320 are also really solid 4-star options. But keep in mind, there's no such thing as a universal drop-in equivalent for every single circuit out there.
Before you even think about heating up your soldering iron, you must verify the data sheets against this checklist. Don't just match the 12-amp max current. You gotta match the voltage, the gain, the physical TO3P package, and that all-important safe operating area. Most importantly for audio repairs, you have to ensure that your new replacement NPN transistor pairs perfectly with the PNP transistor sitting next to it on the heatsink. If they aren't a true complementary pair, your amplifier's audio is going to sound incredibly lopsided and distorted. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive. You now know the specs, the safety rules, the audio applications of the legendary 2TSD1047, and exactly how to find its modern successor. So armed with all these transistor secrets, I've got to ask, what vintage high-powered circuit are you going to bring back to life next? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy repairing.